What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. In today's video, I want to talk about a massive change that will likely come to the New York Jets offense. Let's get into it. As you know, the New York Jets have a new head coach in Aaron Glenn, and he is going through the process of hiring his staff. And there's been a lot of names rumored to the New York Jets and their offensive coordinator position. And it feels like the favorite is Nick Caley, and another name that gets mentioned a lot is Clint Kubiak. So what I wanted to do was take a look or show you guys something that I think is going to be a really big change to the New York Jets offense coming in 2025 and how that might impact the Aaron Rodgers decision in a way. So essentially, both Nick Caley and Clint Kubiak come from teams that do something very differently than what Aaron Rodgers likes to do and what the New York Jets as a team has done the last couple of years. And if you want to look at, again, Clint Kubiak in 2024 with the Saints and Nick Caley with the Rams, granted Nick Caley was not calling plays, but when you come from the Sean McVay tree, you're going to get associated with things that the Rams do. And what I want to look at and what I'm talking about is the high use of pre-snap motion. Yeah, we're going to nerd out a little bit. I'll show you some data on both of these teams. Now, these numbers are from earlier in the season. Unfortunately, wasn't able to find the numbers at the end of the season, but did find this chart from earlier in the NFL season that talked through where each one of the teams in the league were in their pre-snap motion. So the Saints were doing it on 75.4% of dropbacks, while the Rams were doing it at 78.6% of their dropbacks. In comparison, the Jets numbers were up from a year prior, but they were at 51.4%, which is significantly lower where most of the league is. And a lot of the NFL nowadays and the most successful offenses around the league use a high amount of pre-snap motion. Think of, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, those style of offenses. Another great example is Mike McDaniel with the Miami Dolphins. Most teams around the league like to use pre-snap motion to see what the defenses are in. And as I mentioned, Aaron Rodgers is not usually someone who likes to use a whole lot of pre-snap motion. I think that's why over the last 2 years specifically, the Jets have been towards the bottom of the league in that category, and he's been very vocal against pre-snap motion at times. Here's a quote from him, which came from 2022, so before he came to the New York Jets. But when you have so much motion, it's hard to get tempo going. You always have to make sure you're set and you have a motion or a double motion or a jet off of it, Aaron Rodgers said. And again, he really likes a more stagnant kind of offense, at least with their formations. I'm not saying like Aaron Rodgers is purposely trying to keep the Jets offense old and antiquated, but in a way it kind of is. And I think if Aaron Rodgers is to come back in 2025, one of the things that he's going to have to change is more, a willingness to use pre-snap motion. And that kind of goes into like things that are on my list of things that has to change in order for Aaron Rodgers to come back. And it's not guaranteed that Rodgers is going to be back, but there's been some rumblings and rumors that Aaron Glenn would be interested in retaining Aaron Rodgers. And if that's the case, number one, I think he needs to take a pay cut because his cap number in 2026 would be astronomical if he came back in 2025. So I think they're going to have to rework his deal. He's been willing to, he did it once before already. So I think that's something that's, pretty likely to happen. The next thing, and I say this a lot, but I think he has to, again, be willing to do whatever the Jets' new offensive coordinator wants to do with the offense. Again, whether it's Nick Caley, Clint Kubiak, or someone else, I think if Rodgers is coming back, it has to be, all right, like this is our plan. You could be a part of it, but what I don't want to see is Aaron Rodgers come back and it be the same thing that they just went through this past year, where it was really the Aaron Rodgers show. Yes, technically, at first it was Nathaniel Hackett calling plays, and then eventually they got to Todd Downing calling plays. And I do think that Downing did a better overall job. Still not phenomenal, but again, it was better than where they were in the past with Nathaniel Hackett as their play caller. But it can't be the Aaron Rodgers show on offense. Rodgers has to be a part of the solution, not like we're going to, have the full Robert Saleh, Joe Douglas mentality of Aaron Rodgers is going to come in here and save us, and he's going to call plays at the line of scrimmage, and we're going to run the clock down, the play clock down to 1 second every time. We're going to have to waste a timeout every single week in either the first or third quarter because the Jets, we can't get lined up in time into the line of scrimmage, or we're going to take an exorbitant amount of delay of game penalties on the year. Again, I think that, going forward in 2025, again, if Rodgers does want to come back and does want to play, it has to be on the Jets' terms. It can't be on Aaron Rodgers' terms and him being like, all right, yeah, I'll come back, but we got to keep doing things my way, and we got to keep Nathaniel Hackett here, and I like Allen Lazard, so he has to stay. It's got to be on the Jets' terms. And I don't want to make it sound like there's, it's all negatives if Aaron Rodgers comes back. That's not the case. If Aaron Rodgers does come back, that likely means Davante Adams is back, so that's not creating a massive hole in your wide receiver room. Unfortunately, I think if Rodgers doesn't come back, I think Davante would want out. I think Allen Lazard would be gone. I think Lazard should be gone regardless. And something else that the Jets need to do significantly more in 2025 is run the football. They were at the bottom of the league in rushing attempts. I've said it multiple times throughout the season and on my channel, but there was not a single game this year where Breece Hall received 20 carries in a game. And I get it. It wasn't the best of years for Breece Hall in 2024, but the lack of usage was just really jarring. And I think that's something that needs to change going into 2025. So again, I'm not saying, one way or the other that Aaron Rodgers he absolutely has to be back or he absolutely can't come back. I think you can make a legitimate case on either side for it to happen. All I'm saying is I think if Rodgers is going to come back, it has to be, again, with the plan that either Nick Caley, Clint Kubiak, or whoever else is running the New York Jets offense in 2025, it's got to be on their terms. And again, both of these guys most likely will be using a lot of pre-snap motion, West Coast style of offense. So if Aaron Rodgers is good with that, fine. If not, well, I don't want to have an offense stuck in 2007. So it's going to be up to him at that point. But wanted to come on here quickly and just give a quick synopsis on why I think the Jets offense is going to look very, very different in 2025. I think it's a good thing. Again, that's getting with the modern times in the NFL. Most teams and most successful offenses use a lot of pre-snap motion. Not all. There's exceptions to the rule. Obviously, there's no, one perfect formula, but I do expect that change for the New York Jets in 2025. So what do you think about that? Let me know in the comments. I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new, and I will catch you next time.